Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show.
I'd like to start the meeting. Welcome everybody for attending today. And today is December 17th, 2018. The time is 7 p.m. And before we begin the regular agenda items, would you all please rise and join Councilwoman Catherine Atherton in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. The first thing we need to do is to go into the Queensbury Board of Health, which is the town board, if they so choose to do so. We have an application before us tonight, and so if we go into the Board of Health, we'll entertain that and tell you a little bit more about it. So, is there a resolution? Is there a motion to go into the Board of Health?
So moved.
All right, Councilwoman Atherton. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second to the motion to go into the Queensbury Board of Health by Councilman Medevere. All those in favor say aye. 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 All right, it's unanimous. We're now into the Board of Health. So, Caroline, would you please inform us and the public as to the resolution before us?
This is the public hearing on the sewage disposal variance application of Chris Ragliari.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So,
Rogliari.
That's what I think.
well,
Is it Rogliari?
Rogliari.
Oh.
all right, so the Ragliaris of 40 North Road have this 30,000 square foot structure, a garage, and the garage is located 200 feet from the residence. The contractor went ahead and installed a holding tank for a small bathroom that is just for, it's a toilet and a sink.
Correct.
And so, and it's got an alarm structure and system and everything else on it. And, but in order to make it legal, need a variance from this board. Is there anything else? And the agent is Stephanie DeLallo Bitter, or Stephanie?
That's perfect. Thank you, Supervisor. Just that, as you mentioned, the structure is set back quite a distance from the road. So it's not as if he could tie into the public system, which is why it's supported with the holding tank. But as the supervisor noted and was at the site visit today, it's just a small bathroom for convenience purposes due to its distance, not only from the road, but from the residence. So.
Okay, yes, and it seemed to be fairly cut and dry, but any thoughts, concerns, questions for Mrs. Bitter while she's here over this resolution?
No.
Just, I guess I have a question. So I know that you've been in front of the zoning board many times, and this time there was a permit should have been required and wasn't sought. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I just wonder if there's ever going to be a need for a larger tank, or, and it
No.
gets asked for, if there's ever going to be any extension to that?
Nope, I'm glad you asked that question. This is purely a garage. There's no living quarters suggested, no bedrooms anticipated. It's purely for purposes of an accessory structure for storage. So that's why the bathroom is just there to wash hands and for convenience purpose, but no living quarters, no extensions,
No,
anything.
and there are no anticipated
Nope.
extensions or anything? Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, any further questions from the board? Okay, none. There is a public hearing on this. Let me see if anybody from the public wish to speak to this resolution to approve sanitary sewage disposal variance or, okay. Stephanie, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yep, Ron Ball, Queensbury. Many homes in Queensbury convert their garages to living space. Happens all the time. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else in the public wish to speak to this? All right. Stephanie, if you want to return. I visited the site. It is a garage. There is no indication of it being a residence, and like I said, there is a small sink and a small toilet, and that's it. All right. Any questions for the board, last minute?
Just, I have one more, but it is
Yeah.
understood that should there ever be a need, that a larger tank will be required.
Absolutely. And if any further modifications are necessary, building permits will have to be sought. So
So this is only a 500-gallon tank, and that's really a good thing.
Right, but if that was ever extended, they'd have to come back and ask for a larger tank if it was built into something else.
Yes.
Yes,
for change of use.
clarifying.
Okay. All right. No further questions. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Motion for approval made by Councilman Medevere, seconded by Councilman Ferone. A roll call vote on this, please. Caroline?
Councilpersons Medevere?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Perone?
Yes.
Switzer? Yes. Stroud?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a nice holiday.
Good luck. And that is it for the Queensbury Board of Health. Is there a motion to move out of the Board of Health?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Ferone, seconded by
I'll second.
Councilman Medevere. All those in favor of moving out of or adjourning the Queensbury Board of Health, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We're now out of the Board of Health. Next, we have a public hearing. And Caroline, you want to tell the public about the public hearing, please?
This is a public hearing on a proposed local law of 2018 to amend Queensbury Town Code, Chapter 88, Fire Prevention and Building Construction, to incorporate and reference new Department of State regulations affecting parking garages.
Okay. So this is just updating our code to keep it in line with the New York State Code, as we need to do, in reference to parking garages. We have one parking garage in Queensbury, and that's up in the $1 Million Mile. A lot of people don't even know about it. It's out in back of one of the factory outlets, and it's underneath. Therefore, it's a parking garage. But this is just to update our code, and there is a public hearing on this tonight. So before we go to public hearing, any comments or thoughts from the board? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak to this resolution, amending our local Chapter 88, Fire Prevention Building Construction, to incorporate reference new Department of State regulations affecting parking garages? Not a lot of interest there, huh? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Any last minute thoughts on behalf of the board? Hearing none, I hear a motion approving the enactment of this local law.
So moved.
Moved by Catherine Atherton, seconded by
I'll second.
Councilman Medevere. Roll call vote on this, please, Caroline.
Councilpersons Atherton?
Yes.
Perone?
Yes.
Switzer? Yes. Stroud?
Yes.
And Medevere?
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. All right. And that's it. Close the public hearing. And all right, now, usually we have a town board meeting on January 1st or thereabouts, and we do a lot of the annual stuff that we need to do. Well, the board decided we didn't really need to have a meeting January 1st. Nobody needed to be sworn in. It's not election year. So I can split up between this meeting and the January 7th meeting, things that are usually done at the January 1st meeting. So this is we have 42 resolutions before us, and a lot of it's routine stuff. So we're going to go through the 42 resolutions. I'll describe each one to you, in some cases very briefly. Nothing more needs to be said. That's pretty routine. Then I'll give the public an opportunity to speak to any of the 42 resolutions before this board tonight. You can ask questions. We may not know the answers. You may share your thoughts and so forth. And that's encouraged. And then, when we're done with the public's input and the town board's thoughts and questions and so forth, then we'll do a roll call, see if any of them need to be polled for individual reasons, and then we'll vote on the remaining, and we'll get these out of the way tonight. Okay, so now the hard work comes for Supervisor Stroud. Okay, Caroline, you ready? It's tough for you too. So resolution 4.1.
Resolution establishing rules of procedure for 2019.
All right, Queensbury Town Board hereby designates Robert Rules of Order as its official rules of procedure for the year 2019. Resolution 4.2.
Resolution setting 2019 town board meeting schedule.
All right, our regular town board meetings are usually held on the first and third Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. in this building, the Queensbury Activity Center at 742 Bay. There are exceptions. In January, we're having our meetings on the 7th and 28th. On February, we'll have our meetings on the 11th and 25th, and September, the 9th and 23rd. All the rest is the first and third Mondays. We do have workshops in between, but we don't announce them. We do them as needed. So that's resolution 4.2. 4.3.
Resolution authorizing advance approval of claims during 2019.
All right, generally speaking, this board has to approve the bills before they get paid. However, there are some cases where the bills absolutely have to get paid, in some cases, before this board approves them. If, in certain situations, certain bills, for example, we need to absolutely pay this bill for the continuance of insurance, or to avoid late charges, or timely delivery of certain shipments and mailings. This board now is authorizing payment in advance of the audit of claims for things like the public utility services, health, dental, workman's comp, disability, unemployment insurance premium, debt service payments, postage, freight, and express charges. Okay. 4.4.
Resolution authorizing town supervisor to file annual financial report in town clerk's office.
All right, that's pretty self-explanatory. The New York State General Municipal Law 30 requires the town supervisor to file the town's annual financial report in the town clerk's office on or before April 30th, 2019, in lieu of filing a separate financial report with the town clerk by February 28th, 2019, as required by New York State Law number 29. 4.5.
Resolution appointing registrar of vital statistics and records access officer for 2018.
All right, this resolution hereby appoints Caroline Barber as the registrar of vital statistics and records access officer for 2019. 4.6.
Resolution designating official newspaper for 2018.
This designates Post-Star as the town of Queensbury's official newspaper for 2019. 4.7.
Resolution establishing mileage allowance for 2018.
All right, the mileage allowance just came out today. And the rate is 58 cents per mile for business. Resolution 4.8.
Resolution authorizing municipal officials to attend 2018 Annual Association of Towns Conference.
Okay, and the officials that are authorized by this resolution: town supervisor, town board member, town highway superintendent, deputy highway superintendent, town clerk, town budget officer, town court clerks, town supervisor's executive assistant, town's director of building and codes enforcement. And Catherine, to answer your question, I did send it out there. I heard nothing back. But should there be interest on behalf of somebody, say, in planning and zoning, we can add them later. Resolution 4.9.
Resolution adopting town purchasing policy for 2019.
Okay, and Jennifer, you'll see we've added the uniform guidance for federal awards. We adopted last August to this, just to assure that it's there. 411.
I thought 410.
410.
410 got stuck on 49. 4.10.
Resolution reappointing Joanne Watkins as town purchasing agent for 2019.
Effective January 1st, 2019, with a $6,458 stipend. 411.
Resolution appointing justice clerks and deputy court clerks for 2018.
All right, so the town board hereby appoints Carrie Lewis, Margaret Quintel, Stephanie Mahoney as town justice court clerks, and Mariah Townsend as deputy court clerk for 2019. 412.
Resolution reappointing Lori O'Shaughnessy, assistant parks and recreation director, to Warren County Youth Board for 2018.
And that's self-explanatory. 413.
Resolution reappointing Joan Aldis as town historian for 2018.
And that's self-explanatory. 414.
Resolution appointing members to Town Historians Advisory Board for 2018.
All right, the town historian would like us to appoint Doug Berchi, Jen Berchi France, Maureen Monahan Chase, Wally Hirsch, Judy Melconian, and John Stroud to her committee. Advisory Board. 415.
Resolution approving appointment of town safety officer and safety committee members for 2018.
Okay, and again, this is the safety committee, and Mike Palmer is the town safety officer, and this is appointing him. We are creating a new office we'll deal with January 7th. It's going to be the Office of Safety and Compliance Officer, and that will have a stipend to it because we broadened and clarified the charges for that office, and it's pretty demanding, so we put a stipend with it. So this is a list of the members who are the safety committee. 416.
Resolution authorizing adoption of Town of Queensbury Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan for 2018.
Okay, we just updated it in a recent meeting, and Mike Palmer and I and Amy Hirsch and others helped put this emergency management plan for the town of Queensbury together. We are going to do some tabletop exercises. We are going to do a dry run. We use this building to set up our emergency headquarters. And so we have communications equipment and everything else, and the logistics get all worked out. So we practice this, so if a real serious emergency comes to the town of Queensbury, we will be better prepared. 417.
Resolution reappointing Andrew Garner, MD, as 2018 Town Health Officer and authorizing Health Officer Agreement.
Okay. And this is standard. We have to have a health officer, and Dr. Gardner has been willing to do that. 418.
This is a revised resolution. Resolution authorizing agreement between Town of Queensbury and Standard Medical Testing Services, a division of Mountain Medical Services, for substance testing services and physical exams during 2018.
All right, Glens Falls Hospital has been doing this for us. They are no longer going to be offering this service as of January. So a Standard Medical Testing Services, a division of Mountain Medical Services, will provide these. The rates are higher than usual. They're not out of line, though. Urine drug screen, 5-panel dots, $45. A 10-panel expanded is $48. Alcohol breath testing, $35. And it goes on to list the things that the town might need, and they're nearby, so it will be convenient. 419.
Resolution authorizing Badger Meter, Inc. to continue providing radio read meters and accessories to the town water department during 2019.
All right, these are the same Badger meters that we've been using, and this just authorizes them to go ahead and keep purchasing the same system that they use now. 420,
Resolution authorizing amendment of town water department water rate schedule.
all right, so we're going to, right now, you're charged $25 for the first 8,000 gallons. We're going to up that $5 to $30. Because we're, at the same time, we're lowering the ad valorem part. We need to account for our depreciation on our O&M billing. So, you know, for the average household, it's not going to mean much. For the big users like the Great Escape and West Mountain, that's not going to change significantly at all. But this, we need to do this, make this adjustment for the O&M and the ad valorem, the vehicles we buy, for example. That should go into the O&M, because those people that may be in a water district have their own well, and they're not paying for the use of water, but they're in a water district, so they still have to pay capital charges. All right, you take out things like the trucks that the guys use. Well, the capital user, that's for the pipe that's in the ground. It's not necessarily for the truck use. That truck use should come out of O&M. So our auditor said we should make these adjustments. We are. So it means a $5 increase in the water rate for the first 8,000 gallons for the average household. That, like I said, that doesn't mean much. But if you take a look at the history of it, in 1993, the average house was paying about $315 for the water, and now you're paying about $290. Next year will be about $290. It really is a fairly good deal, water in the town of Queensbury. And we have the water superintendent, Chris Harrington, is present if we have further questions on this matter. Resolution 421.
Resolution authorizing funding toward purchase of salt shed and brine equipment and grant administration related to road salt alternatives and best management pilot project.
All right, we've had this before us before, but the numbers needed, there was something wrong with the numbers, so we pulled it. So now we got the accurate numbers. Queensbury is sponsor for this grant, and the whole intent of this grant is to buy the equipment that we need to try and reduce our salt usage, especially around Lake George and eventually around other water bodies as well. This is kind of you know, a step-by-step direction. So the grant money is paying for these kind of things. The town has sponsored the grant, and so there was a quote for water tanks, 3,000-gallon water tanks. We got those based on the lowest quote, $6,092. Dave Wick, who is administering this grant for us, has recommended that we authorize funding of the purchase of those items and a salt barn for the village of Lake George of $45,300.76. And $19,122 to Washington County Department of Works for doing salt reduction. Washington County is on Lake George too. So Mr. Wick has also advised there is currently a $2,500 final bill or invoice from the superintendent of the Warren County Department of Public Works for writing the winter road maintenance operations policies for the towns of Queensbury, Hagen, Ticonderoga. A $1,700 invoice to Lake George Association toward repayment of an invoice towards the winter road policy, and a $9,924.82 invoice to the Lake George Park Commission for grant administration fees, for a total of $78,547.58. Okay, resolution 422.
Resolution authorizing Jeff Aroulier Scholarship Fund 5K road race.
All right, this is a good thing. Jeff Roulier, 5K road race. I try and do this every year. Monday, January 1st, if I can. Starts at 10 a.m., goes around Queensbury, comes back, and it's a very good project. And when they do have the insurance, and the highway department has improved the roads that they're going to be using for that. 423.
John?
What? Did I miss one?
No, it's Tuesday, January 1st.
Right. Oh. Tuesday, thank you.
So we'll change that Tuesday, January 1st. Thank you.
You're right. All right.
Mess up my...
So, as amended, Tuesday, January 1st, 2019. Thank you, Councilman Metavier. All right, Resolution 4.23.
Resolution adopting 2018 part-time hourly wage and annual stipend, management and non-management, non-union full-time staff, and staff salary schedules.
All right, we had heard from department managers that some of their employees were on the very low end, and they thought that we should give them a boost, and so we did a study. We compared them internally and externally, and there were some people on this schedule, which we do the schedule every year, did get a $4,000 bump. Resolution 4.24.
Resolution authorizing seeking of bids through New York State Office of General Services Procurement Program for a plug-in hybrid all-wheel drive sport utility vehicle for Building and Codes Department.
All right, so we wish to purchase a 2019, and you can skip the newer, I don't think you need that, plug-in hybrid, all-wheel drive sport utility vehicle. Okay, so we're gonna put the bid out there and see what comes back. There's the clean energy communities, which we're part of. The town is part of the Clean Energy, New York State's and NYSERDA's Clean Energy Community. If we did certain things that were good for the environment, we did all those things, and Catherine's more involved in that committee, and so if you want to speak up, you're welcome to. We got $50,000 grant for doing good things for the environment to do more good things for the environment. So we told, the committee told the town board what we think you should do is spend money on changing our lighting on Main Street, the decorative lighting, not our Christmas tree lighting, our decorative lighting on the $1 Million Mile and on Main Street. There's 118 light fixtures. They are currently high-pressure sodium, 150 watt. We would like to change them to, I think it's 36, 37, 38, I'm going from memory, watt LEDs. So this is to do that. And also to buy a plug-in hybrid for the Building and Codes Enforcement Office. So we've already got one electric car. It's a Nissan Leaf. And the water department loves it. So now we'll give one for Building and Codes, and it's basically paid for with this $50,000 grant. All right, anything else, Catherine, I should add it?
That's good.
Okay. Resolution 4.25.
Resolution authorizing upgrade, replacement of certain equipment covered by lease agreement between Town of Queensbury and National Business Equipment.
All right, so National Business Equipment recommended that we upgrade 2 devices covered by a lease now. And it will allow the other equipment to be repurposed. So they've got quotes November 27th for 2 Kyroceramida replacement devices. And this is to approve replacing what we have with the Kyroceramida devices, whatever they are. Okay, 4.26.
Resolution authorizing release of escrow funds held for drainage costs to Tri-Tom Development, Inc. in connection with dedication of Cross Court and Richmond Hill Drive and Barringer Heights subdivision.
All right, Tri-Tom created the development across Richmond Hill Drive, the Behringer Heights subdivision. They have $125,000 cash escrow to put the top coat on, which hasn't been done yet. So this resolution isn't giving them that money back until that's done. However, they did have another $25,000 in cash escrow to take care of the drainage. And the highway superintendent is advising us that the drainage is fine there, and that we could go ahead and release the $25,000 to Trottown. 427.
Resolution authorizing engagement of the Chazen Companies for provision of 2019 engineering technical services to Town of Queensbury.
All right. There was slight increase in fees, but this allows us to engage Chazen for Town Board, Planning Board, Zoning Board, Community Development Department, and they are obligated to these fees if we choose to use them. If we don't use them, for example, we use CT Mal, Bartlett Judas, and we do try and spread the services of Queensbury around, and we do try and be competitive in assuring that the services we're getting are the lowest possible prices that we can get them for. We've had very good luck with Chazen Companies. They've been very good to us. And this just says if we use their services this year, it'll be tied in with those amounts. Resolution 4.28.
Resolution authorizing reimbursement of funds from Cary Road Sanitary Sewer District Capital Project Fund Number 221 to General Fund.
All right, so we put up money for the Cary Road Sewer Project, and the district ultimately has to pay for that. So now they owe us $121,000. At this point, they're going to owe us more, but at this point, they owe us $121,297.92. So the district is going to repay the town money that the town put up to assure that that project takes place. 429.
Resolution imploring Adirondack Inter-County Association of Towns, New York Conference of Mayors, NYSEC, and New York State to come together with a plan to provide cell coverage for all New York State residents and visitors.
All right, this came to us. They asked for our support, and that is the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages. And they put together a model resolution for us. I'll give you a sample of what it is here. It's a resolution imploring Adirondack Inter-County, AOT, NICOM, NYSAC, New York State to come together with a plan to provide self-coverage for all New York State residents and visitors. And then it says, whereas cellular service and the ability to use individual wireless devices is no longer a luxury, and whereas every area of the state, irrespective of financial means or the economics, has a right to this key piece of technology infrastructure, and whereas cell phones and the requisite cell coverage are in many cases the first link of our emergency response chain for fire, ambulance, and law enforcement, and whereas this infrastructure also drives commerce and tourism, is a part of education and a core to our quality of life, and whereas there are still large tracts of New York State which are still deprived of this utility, and whereas we as government officials have an obligation to provide the public safety, the education, as well as the equitable treatment and opportunity for all of our citizens, now therefore it be resolved, the Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages hereby calls upon all local governments to stand together individually and through our associations to insist that the time is now to move New York State ahead of the nation in terms of this critical technology, and be it also resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senate Majority Flanagan, Senate Minority Stuart Cousins, Assembly Speaker Hesty, all the Adirondack legislators, Adirondack Inter-County, NYSAC, AOT, NICOM, the Adirondack Park Local Government Review Board, and the Adirondack Towns and Villages. Okay. Good thing, especially for the North Country. Resolution 4.30.
Resolution authorizing advertisement for bids relating to salt barn modifications and improvements.
All right. We had already secured the services of Chazen to help us design this, and we paid them $12,000 to do that. Now we'd like to go out to bid and see how much it is going to cost us to get our salt barn fixed. Okay? It's in bad shape. Resolution 4.31.
Resolution authorizing advertisement for bids relating to utility infrastructure, HVAC improvements at Town Hall and Activity Center.
All right, we already had a prior resolution that authorized Labella, who was the low bidder, for determining our HVAC needs and replacing the HVAC for the town office. And now we're all set to start bidding out the job so that we get a new HVAC, a more efficient HVAC system for our town office. 4.32.
Resolution authorizing agreements with Queensbury Senior Citizens, Inc.
All right, so we have two contracts with the seniors traditionally. $30,000 for program services and develop those for our seniors, and $40,000 to help to administrate this building. We outsource to them. What we used to do is have a town employee administer this building, and it was a full-time job. They got a full salary, they got the benefits and everything else, and we said, well, listen, the Queensbury seniors citizens are here anyways, and they have some good administrators. Why don't we pay them to administrate this building for us in accord with the contract that we have with them? And we'll save money and probably get a better service. And both of those happen. We save money. So we pay them $40,000 for that. Now, traditionally, we paid them $25,000, and they've asked us for another $5,000 for a total of $30,000 to help develop their program services. Resolution 4.33.
Resolution authorizing advance payments to Bay Ridge, North Queensbury, and West Glens Falls Emergency Rescue Squads under current agreements.
All right. We had sent out to our squads a cap, a 4% increase over last year, which was a 10% increase over the year before. And we said cap it and create a budget that meets this cap. And I got to give credit to West Glens Falls. They were right here. I know that Bay Ridge is working on it. We'll have it to us soon. And I hope North Queensbury, okay, is cooperative and meets those terms. And as we progress this year, we're going to be putting together, with the help of the EMS squads, an RFP for an EMS coordinator. And we hope to hire a part-time entity. It could be a person, it could be a business, that will look at our EMS squads and suggest efficiencies, okay? Cost-saving efficiencies, service improvement efficiencies, and anything else. So we need somebody that really knows what they're doing to help and work with the squads. And to their credit, the squads are willing to work with us on this. So, so in the meantime, though, this resolution is to secure the payment until we can get these budgets all locked up and sealed, and I'm hoping to be able to do that in the next couple of weeks. 4.34.
Resolution authorizing closure of water treatment plant SCADA, hardware improvements, capital project fund number 207.
All right, this was a great project. Superintendent Chris Harrington, just trying to be proactive rather than wait for things to fall apart. Realized that we needed a new SCADA hardware. We did that, we put it in, and now there's $5,404.07 remaining in the fund, and the job's done. So this will bring it back into the water fund 040. 4.35.
Resolution authorizing closure of Cronin Road Water Main Improvement Capital Project Fund number 216.
Okay, again, this was to improve the water main. We were experiencing frequent breaks along Cronin Road. The soil types and the type of pipe that was originally put in weren't compatible. This put in a compatible pipe, so there should be fewer, if any, breaks on Cronin Road in the future. This project's done. So there's $11,027.55 remaining, so we're going to close that out and put it in Water Fund 040. 4.36. 4.36.
Resolution authorizing 2019 application for funds from New York State Office of Children and Family Services.
All right, the Town of Queensbury's Director of Parks and Recreation has advised this board that the town is again eligible to apply for funds for the New York State Office of Children and Family Services relating to town recreation programs. And so we are preparing a funding application for the amount of $3,375 for youth recreation programs, if this board approves that. Resolution 4.37.
Resolution authorizing application for funds from Dormitory Authority of State of New York.
All right. Steve Lovering, who is the director of our Parks and Recreation, has said that he would like to apply for funding to improve the Meadowbrook Preserve Trail system, and he would like to apply for a $75,000 grant. And this, if this gets approved by the town board, it gives him permission to go ahead and apply for that grant. Resolution 4.38.
Resolution reappointing Stephen Borges to Board of Assessment Review.
All right, thank you, Stephen Borges, for offering to do that. 4.39.
Resolution authorizing disposal of obsolete equipment.
All right, a lot of old computers. Resolution 4.40.
Resolution establishing senior building maintenance mechanic position in Parks and Recreation Department.
All right, so Town of Queensbury's Recreation Commission and Director of Park and Recreation wish to establish a full-time building maintenance mechanic position. So it's a new position, not another employee, it's a new position. And he says it better suits his needs. And so the Warren County Department of Personnel and Civil Service has reviewed the proposed job duties for the position and has determined that the SBMM, which is the Senior Building Maintenance Mechanic, is indeed the most appropriate title for that position as set forth in the new position duty statement adopted by the Warren County Department of Personnel and Civil Services presented at this meeting. All right, Resolution 4.41.
Resolution to amend 2018 budget.
All right, that's the traditional shifting of monies where they weren't needed and where they are in the budget. Resolution 4.42.
Resolution approving audited bills warrant of December 18, 2018.
All right, so this town board hereby approves the warrant if they pass this tonight with a run date of December 13, 2018 and a payment date of December 18, 2018, totaling $680,148.40. And those are the 42 resolutions before this board tonight. Yeah, did I skip one?
Apologize, no, you did not. I apologize for interrupting. I would need to drag the board back to 4.22. The Jeff Aurelia 5K road race actually is at alternating locations each year. It starts and ends at Queensbury School one year and Glens Hall School the next year. The resolution says beginning and ending at Queensbury High School. This year's, actually I should say 2019's, is actually beginning and ending at Glens Hall High School.
All right.
Are we changing that as well?
Where it says place, it should say beginning and ending at Glens Hall High School instead of Queensbury.
Okay.
It switches off. Next 2020 will be a Queensbury.
That's the only place.
All right, is that okay, acceptable to the board?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Town Council Shagner. All right, so I'm going to, if any members of the community wish to speak to any of the 42 resolutions, I'm going to give the opportunity right now. Yes, sir.
Ground ball, Queensbury, 4.6. Resolution designating official newspaper, the Post-Star. Was there any other papers in the running? Just the one.
Just the one.
About a year and a half ago, I lodged a complaint against the Post-Star. They were littering our highways. They were putting their papers in bags and they were throwing them out next to mailboxes, in some places not even near a mailbox. And I, at the time, or still am, I had a portion of a road that was Adopt a Highway program, and I cleaned these things up, and I kept picking them up until I realized what was going on. And today, even today, you could get down the same road and you could see these bags are still out there. And so I lodged a complaint and I filed it with the sheriff's department and it was never answered. They never reviewed it. And I wanted them to speak to me and say, you know, we're working on it, or we're going to try to do something different. But no, they just continue to do it. And from what I understand, some judge allowed them to do it. They said they were grandfathered in. That's how papers were delivered years ago, and it was, you know, put out there. And so they answered some of the complaints. I believe there was like 7 or 8 complaints altogether. I could be wrong on that. Everybody's but mine. You see, I took care of this road, and I still do today. I take care of this road, 2 miles. And every so often, I just go out for the walk, and I get my bag, and I pick them up. And most of the trash is these bags from the Post-Star with the paper in it. And all it is mostly they do a little story here or there, and most of it's advertisement. Like the regular paper that's delivered to us every day, you know, but the paper today is 70% commercials or advertisement, I mean. And, I want to know why they did not answer my complaint. The Warren County Sheriff Department never called me back. I wanted to go to the hearing when they had the hearing on it. I was never asked to go to the hearing to hear about it. And I think this should stop. I don't believe that they should be doing this. They're littering the highway. Now, I read in the paper when this all started, the state police pulled over a car on the Northway, and a black man was driving this car. And so the black man wanted to know why he was being pulled over. And the sheriff or the policeman said, it's because you threw a cigarette butt out your window. That's littering. So if that's littering, wouldn't the Post-Star be littering? That's all I need to say. Thank you very much. Bye.
And we designate the Post-Star because it's the only daily paper in the area, and we need to publicize our legal notices and meeting notices and other things, and we need that designation. Anybody else like to speak to any of the resolutions before the town board tonight? All right, seeing none, any thoughts on behalf of the town board in reference to any of the resolutions before us tonight? Anybody would like to do a roll call? All right, so let me ask legal counsel a question. If I'm being appointed to a committee, such as the safety committee and the advisory board for the historian, should I just pull those and abstain from voting on them?
You can if you want to take the very highest road possible, but those are both committees, correct me if I'm wrong, that do not have any binding authority. They just make recommendations. So you can participate or not as you see fit.
All right, then I'll take the highest road. And I'll have request 414 and 415 to be pulled for roll call. Any other roll call requests? Any other thoughts about any of the resolutions? Okay, we're all clear on the 2 resolutions that got amended? Okay, so let's do the first 2 that we're going to do roll call on. 414, please, Caroline.
All right. Resolution appointing members to Town Historians Advisory Board for 2018.
Okay, a motion to put forward.
I'll introduce.
Introduced by Councilman Medevere, seconded by
Second.
Councilwoman Switzer. Roll call vote on 414, please. Caroline?
Councilpersons Ferone,
Yes.
Switzer. Yes. Stroud,
Abstain.
Medevere.
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
All right, resolution passes. Resolution 4.15, resolution approving appointment of town safety officer and safety committee members for 2019. Motion to move that for approval.
So moved.
All right, moved by Councilman Ferrone, seconded by Councilwoman Atherton. Roll call vote on 415, please.
Councilperson Switzer?
Yes.
Stroud?
Yeah, abstain.
Okay. Abstain, correct?
Yep,
Medivir?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Ferrone?
Yes.
okay. Now, the remaining resolutions. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Anybody like to move those forward for approval?
I'll introduce.
Introduced by Councilman Medivir,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilman Ferrone. Roll call vote on the remaining resolutions, please, Caroline.
Councilperson Stroud?
Yes.
Medivir?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Ferrone?
Yes.
Switzer?
Yes.
The rest of the resolutions pass unanimously. Oh, that wasn't so painful, was it?
No.
Not bad. Okay, next on the agenda. Correspondence, please.
I do have a memo from Supervisor Stroud with his appointments for Deputy Supervisor, Councilman Anthony Medivir, and Executive Assistant to Supervisor Victoria Lamarck. I have my appointments as Town Clerk and Receiver of Taxes for the 2019, Rose Mallon, First Deputy and Sub-Registrar, Karen O'Brien, Deputy Town Clerk 2 and Sub-Registrar, Colleen Rathbun, Deputy Town Clerk 3, Kim Moulton, Deputy Receiver of Taxes, and Tammy Lander, Second Deputy Receiver. And I have memo from Queensbury Town Supervisor David Jewell with his appointment of his Deputy Mark Benware, or Highway Superintendent, appointment of Mark Benware, his deputy, and also his confidential administrative assistant for the year 2018. I have from Judge Muller and Judge Schwenker their appointments for 2019, Carrie Lewis, Court Clerk, Margaret Quintel, Court Clerk, Stephanie Mahoney, Clerk of the Court, Mariah Townsend, Deputy Court Clerk, Donald Ross, Court Officer, Cynthia Vandenberg, Court Officer, Terry Como, Court Officer, Daniel Bennett, Court Officer, and John Dan as Court Officer. Those for the year 2018. And I have a monthly report from Director of Building Codes for the month of November.
Okay. That's it for correspondence?
That's it.
All right, next is privilege of the floor. Any member of the public wish to speak to the town board about any town topic, this is your opportunity to do so. Anybody like to speak to the town board? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Kelly Stevens.
I'm Cassie Deason.
Kelly Stevens.
And Cassie, C-A-S-S-I-E, Deason, D-E-A-S-O-N.
Okay, Kelly and Cassie.
We are Queensbury residents with Glens Falls City School students living in our house. We are here to see about discussing possibility of sidewalks. For example, today my kid has to walk to school in the snow. We live on Harris Street, which is off of Veterans. There was a 12-inch difference between the white line and where the snow was pushed back. Cars do not slow down on Upper Sherman at all. Casey lives on Ashley Place?
Broadacres.
Broadacres. So we're looking to see what we can do to work with Glens Falls to get some kind of protection for our kids. I know everybody's worked up over the students being protected, getting on and off school buses nowadays, but the kids walking to and from schools are also at jeopardy. Right now, there's 247 students living in Queensbury that attend Glens Falls. 61 of them are elementary that go to Kensington, 88 are middle school, and 98 of them are high school students. And we'd just like to be able to build a communication with you guys to try to see what we can do to protect our kids from walking to school.
All right, so you're requesting sidewalks, and on which streets in particular?
I would like, me personally, I would like, so from Upper Sherman, from like Morris Field down to Western. It's been talked about between a bunch of parents, from Dixon to Kensington, to where they could catch the, I think it's Jerome, right there where that sidewalk is, Broad Acres and Ashley.
Okay. Well, sometime when you get a chance, your council person is Councilwoman Atherton. Could we get together and get a map and have you outline where you want the sidewalks? Because then what we need to do is, sidewalks are a good thing, all right? So that's a good thing. Pedestrian safety is a good thing.
Correct.
Well, let's see what's involved.
Okay.
Like a whole row of trees, it's open, it's
I know that
private.
you guys came down from like Western to Veterans maybe 2 years ago with sewer lines out that way, so I don't know like which side of the road they would be on or anything. So I don't know how that interferes with sidewalks, but.
Once we get into where we want the sidewalks, then we'll do a site survey, and then we'll do an overlay to see what is there and what issues are there, and see if we can make progress on this. Sidewalks are a good thing. So if you could come see me or see Councilwoman Atherton,
Okay.
or maybe we could arrange for us to meet in my office or something, and then we'll start this process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, okay, so why don't you start it by calling my office and having us arrange a time that's good for you
Okay.
to come in, and the maps and things like that I can do,
Okay.
all right?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
All right, you too, thank you. Yes, sir.
Ron Ball, Queensbury. The last 10 times I've been here, I've been complaining about Verizon running water down that hill where the water tower is in the town of Queensbury, and they're washing out the road. I had George up there and showed him these big crevices in the road, and they were really deep, and I know I believe us taxpayers are paying the expense to fix it. It's being damaged by Verizon because they put the cell tower up there and it's running down there. But the biggest complaint is that water's being collected on the town of Queensbury property in a trench, probably 500 approximate feet long, and they're discharging onto my property. Last time I was here, Jennifer seemed to think, well, that's not illegal. Well, George, if you would you please tell her that it is illegal to do and it needs to be stopped? And you told me that yourself. And also, George, you said, well, it's not that much. What isn't not that much? Well, I went to a planning board meeting about 7 months ago, and West Glens Falls Chapel was there, representing, I believe, by the preacher of the chapel. They wanted to put a porch roof to cover up this doorway entering the back of the chapel. And they would only agree to it if they didn't pump the water out into the road or collect the water and run it out into the road. And so Dave Deeb, secretary of the planning board, said, no, you can't do that. It's illegal to collect the storm water and pump it onto somebody else's property or into a road. You're going to have to collect it in gutters and put it someplace. Well, that Dave Deeb also was on the planning board that approved the approval for Verizon to collect the stormwater property and dump it onto my property. David Deeb should step down from the planning board. He's not qualified to be on the planning board because of those issues. I don't know how many other issues he's done that way, but clearly he didn't read the codes or he did something wrong, but this man is not a good service to us. So what I really want to know is, what can I do? I can't sue you. If someone was doing that to the town, you guys could sue them. If somebody's grass was getting high or the weeds were getting high, you would say you're either going to mow it or we're going to mow it and we're going to charge you for it or fine them. But yeah, I can't do anything. You guys can dump it onto my property and continuously been doing it for 5 years. And this is done by a $1 trillion industry, Verizon. They pay a little over $1,000 a month rent for that property up there on Queensbury, and they're not paying any school tax. This is so ridiculous. A $1 trillion industry. And when I said, I want you to buy my property, a half-acre property, and charge, and pay $26,000 for the half-acre of property, Kathy over here laughed at first, but I said I want Verizon to pay for it. See, Verizon should pay for it because they're the one that's created this problem, not us, but why should I pay for it? So I want something done, and I'm not getting any answers, and 5 years is way too long. Can I fine you? What can I do? I can do absolutely nothing. Nothing. And every time I come up there, you guys sit there like deer in the headlight, and nothing is ever done, nothing's ever said, and I just constantly come back up here and complain. The Post-Star never writes about it, never says the word, because for one reason, the Post-Star doesn't say anything about it, because they endorsed each one of you. So they don't want to say anything bad about either one of you. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you very much. I'll be back next week.
All right, thanks. Anybody else like to speak to the town board? All right. Seeing none. Town board discussions. Let's start with Jennifer.
Sure. Just a couple of quick things. VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program through Tri-County United Way, is looking for volunteers. It's a great program that assists those with income of $54,000 or less to prepare their income taxes for free. So if anybody's interested in either getting your income taxes prepared for free if you have income less than $54,000, and or you'd like to become a volunteer, that's what they're really looking for. And other than that, just a happy holidays to everyone, and if we can just take some time to remember and thank those that are unable to be with us, especially those that are serving in our military. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And Councilman Farrell?
Same thing.
All right.
No, I don't have anything other than to wish everybody happy holidays.
Thank you, Lynn. The holiday tie contest.
Tie contest, yes.
I think you won that, even though my candy cane kind of thing isn't working as well as yours is. No, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Councilwoman Atherton.
I do not have any announcements, so I'm just wishing everyone a joyful holiday and hoping that we have a more peaceful, more inclusive, more kind 2019 than has been the case in 2018.
That should be easy to do.
You think? I hope so.
I hope so too. It's a good wish. All right.
I think there's a lot of people that want to be kind, but it's going to take a lot of work. So, but wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I don't care whether or not you like that, I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone's keeping this short because they know
that John's up.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle, maybe.
But you're giving us a gift. But you're giving us a gift of short.
I will try and keep it short. Okay.
Let's try.
Give me 3 minutes. I have a meeting with her tomorrow. Kathy Cloutier, who is the head of SBCA Upstate New York, SBCA of Upstate New York. She got nominated by Channel 10 to be one of the 50, over 50 that needs to be recognized for their services to the community, and in particular her services to animal care.
Excellent.
Yeah. So hooray, Kathy. Also, the town historian wanted me just to point out to the Post-Star that it is not Halfway Creek, it is Halfway Brook. Okay, I said I'd do that. Several residents have called the town board, and they just want to thank you so much for putting that traffic light up on Bay Road.
It actually has worked very well.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that there were going to be problems, and there have not been any.
Now, on both sides of Bay Road are just happy that they can get in and out of there. So, you know, it's not often we get a nice thank you note, but several residents that the town board thank you. Also, thank you to the town board for Warren County Historical Society. We appreciate your support. And 2018 was a building year for them up on their new building on Gurney Lane. And again, they just appreciate the support from the town. That I can skip. Oh, and then I had a student who's doing a study in Queensbury School on what municipalities are doing to mitigate climate change. So I said, hi Shannon, I don't want to give her last name out. The town of Queensbury has done the following to date to help mitigate climate change. Now I did this off the top of my head, so if I need to add something to this to send to Shannon, speak up. To reduce our dependency on fossil fuels and reduce our carbon footprint, we, the town of Queensbury, has installed rooftop solar panels on 6 of our town buildings. We bought and used an electric car in our water department. We encourage alternative transportation and better accommodations for pedestrians and bicycles. We built several trails that interconnect neighborhoods and public places. We have widened roadway shoulders. We have changed our main buildings to LED lighting. We've reduced our paper usage. We encourage electronic use and storage. As a matter of fact, we're going to try and get those iPads to the planning and zoning boards ASAP. And we're a clean energy community, and that meant doing a whole lot of things to reduce our carbon footprint. Okay, and what are we doing? We're not stopping there. We're currently working on community solar, more trails, more shoulder widening, changing our street lights to LEDs. We're buying another electric vehicle. We're working even further to reduce our paper usage and encourage electronic and storage usage. And we're installing more electronic auto charging stations, and we're improving our building efficiencies through better insulation, and we're putting a new HVAC system in our building, which is going to be highly efficient compared to the 30-some-odd-year-old system that's there now. So, and there's probably other things. That was the top of the head that I said to Shannon, and I'm pretty proud of what Queensbury has done very proactively to do our share in trying to mitigate global warming and to reduce our carbon footprint and to do good things for the environment. Okay? So, also, there's a draft. The Assembly Point Water Quality Coalition is putting together a brochure. And I reviewed it and gave them some suggestions, so their draft brochure, so a final version should be coming out, and they want to know if the town's interested in sending it to anybody. We may be. There's some corrections they need to make, and then we'll get there, but I give them kudos for putting together a nice comprehensive brochure on septic systems and the meaning of them and how they can contribute and how you can upgrade your system to reduce its contribution to the pollutant levels in the lakes and so forth. Also, last Friday, we had a great event here. It was a holiday gathering here at the town. We had Christmas tree lighting. Bay Ridge had their equipment all lit up, deliver Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And I say Mr. and Mrs. Claus because, you know, Mr. Claus's first name is Santa, right? So what's Mrs. Claus's first name?
Betsy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mildred, but
I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of that. In any event, I want to thank Bay Ridge Volunteer Fire Company for using their beautifully decorated trucks and delivering Mr. and Mrs. Claus. So I want to thank Rich Borrow and Betsy Brown for playing those roles.
that was so coincidental.
Yeah.
I did not know that, John.
So and I'd like to thank Craig Brown and the committee, Jessica Lulona, Terry Ross, Carly Ramsey, Laura Moore, Sonny Sweet, Chuck Rice, Joan Aldis, for putting together the holiday gathering. I'd like to thank Celia Brown, who played Migo, you know, the Smallfoot character, and Chad Curran, who played Mr. Twisty. I'd like to thank our building and grounds crew for decorating and helping to organize this event. I want to thank Tammy and Troy Babb for their horse-drawn wagon rides. And I want to thank our many, many sponsors who without them this event would have never happened. And I'm talking about the holiday tree lighting ceremony last Friday. It was a wonderful and spectacular event thanks to these people.
The tree looks magnificent.
That's great.
Yep. Okay. All right. All right. Getting to the bottom. Supervisors report to the town board and community. All right, starting Tuesday, following our last town board meeting. We had a meeting with Stored Tech. We're doing periodic meetings with Stored Tech. We have so many IT things going at one time, so many IT balls in the air that we have to have these meetings periodically, keep track of them, make sure that they are going in the right direction and so forth. So we had topics that we discussed was the new GIS, and that should be up and running in January here at the town. Energov, Munis, BAS govern our programs that we're migrating to the cloud. The cemetery has a speed problem. We don't know if it's equipment or the lines going to it. We're going to look into it. The iPads for planning board and ZBA members. If you've ever gone to a planning board meeting, you'll see the pile of paper each planning board member has to deal with in dealing with the applications that evening. We're hoping to make that all electronic on an iPod. They can look at the diagrams, the scheme, the documents, and so forth without the paper someday. All right, we're working on it, and that should be a system that starts pretty soon. And then we all did a site visit with South Queensbury Volunteer Fire Company to look at the new addition that they want to put on their firehouse on Dix Avenue. December 5th, Wednesday, Councilman George Ferrone was in. We discussed a whole lot of town issues. Then I went to the Open Door Mission. They're making great progress on their facility up on Warren Street. And then I went to the Warren County Safe and Quality Bicycle Organization meeting, and they too are making great progress on creating safe and biking opportunities and more biking opportunities as well. December 6th, Thursday, I met with Town Assessor Terry Ross, Mayor Dan Hall, and Councilman at Large Jane Reed. It was an informational meeting, and we discussed possible shared services with the assessment world. Went to the Lake George Septic Initiative meeting, where Lake George Director of Planning and Zoning Dan Broche and Fund for Lake George Waterkeeper Chris Novinsky discussed their initiative, which is to inventory shoreline septics, and then they put in a matrix. What is the type of septic system? What is the terrain? What is the location? What is the, the type of soils? And they put all this in a matrix. And then it's color-coded on a map. And if it's red, it means an area that really needs to be looked at seriously. And the town of Queensbury is right with them. We've already started an inventory with the help of Kathy Bizzoni and George Hilton, our GIS guy, in putting together an inventory of septic systems along 14 miles of coastline that is in Queensbury. A lot of people don't realize that much of Lake George. 10% of Lake George is in the town of Queensbury. All right, then I went to a county facilities meeting where we discussed county-owned property. specifically the part of the Sibagagi BASF site. And then I went to an EDC holiday mixer and had a few words to say. A great group of people that make things happen in this community. And I also mentioned, made me think, this is a wonderful community that we live in. There's just so many people who want to do so much for so others, culturally and humanly and otherwise, to make this community experience a good experience for everybody. We really do live in a great community in that sense. On December 7th, Friday, I met with Labor Council Larry Pouchowitz and Cemetery Superintendent Connie Geddert to discuss a proposal labor rearrangement that she's going to speak with the town board at the workshop on January 14th. I met with Assistant District Attorney Ben Smith because he wanted to interview me and see how much I knew about the Lake George Watershed Coalition and Dave Decker and the New York State Department of State Grants. That was about an hour. Then I went up to the ribbon cutting, Adirondack Chris Kindelmark, and what a great event that was. And the Lake George Chamber of Commerce, CBB, Kristen Hannafin deserves a lot of credit for making that happen. Then I came back here, same day, and emceed the Town Hall's holiday tree lighting ceremony, and I mentioned all the people that deserve credit for making that happen. December Saturday, I had to take my wife up to the Chris Grindelmark, and beautiful crafts. And then I went to the Stored Tech holiday reception. Sunday, December 9th, I came here and worked in the town. December 10th, Monday, there was a holiday luncheon being put on by the assessment office. I want to thank them for that. And then there was a town board workshop. And I don't know why the Post-Star doesn't attend these workshops. Well, the Lake George Regional Chamber of Commerce, CBB, were there to talk to us about forthcoming contract, renewing the contract that we had and updating it. And then we talked about the Queensbury Senior Citizens contract. We talked the Burnt Ridge traffic calming study. Steve Lovering of Park, he's the director of Park and Rec. He talked to us and explained the new title and the Meadowbrook Trail expansion. And he'd like to make a connection to Gurney Lane Rush Pond Trails. Tuesday, December 11th, SUNY Adirondack Academic Student Affairs Committee meeting, and then the Queensbury Senior Citizens Annual Holiday Party. It was a grand event. December 12th, Wednesday, AGFTC Planning Committee meeting. The one thing that this board might be interested in is that the state is looking to rehab Route 9L, Ridge Road, from Quaker Road to Route 149 next year. So, Tony, I figured you figured that's a good news. Then we met in the Clean Energy Community meeting where we talked about what? Community solar, community aggregate, community choice aggregation.
Being on the community solar.
Yeah. And then we had a meeting with BOA Step 2. And Catherine was on that as well, and Chris Round and Paul Cummings were there. So Step 2 will explore the specific reuse opportunities for a series of sites, specifically in the Sibagagi, which is BASF-owned industrial site. And we want to put together an advisory committee to help move the Step 2 BOA grant along. So I believe Catherine's working on that. December 13th, Thursday, we updated our comprehensive emergency management plan that you guys put the final touches and approval on tonight. I met with Spencer Montgomery, and he showed me the newest West Mountain Ski Center facilities, and they're huge investments there. I mean, the upgrades in West Mountain have been substantial. And it is a much finer skiing experience now with the new snow guns and the new lift and the redoing the lodge and everything else. First class all the way. I got to give credit to Spencer and Sarah and their investors, whoever they are. I don't know them, but I know Spencer and Sarah, for all the work fine work they're doing, and I wish them much success. And I did go skiing because they had the ribbon cutting on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, and I did the ribbon cutting with with Assemblywoman Betty Little, and then I went skiing. Betty used to ski, but she doesn't now, and she kind of thinks, well, she might like to take it up again. Well, maybe, good. And then I went to the Pathway Corridor public hearing and presentation. December 14th, we had a meeting, a powwow up to the Warrensburg DEC. We met with Paul Derby and Paul McPhillips representing Glen Lake, and there were 4 or 5 DEC people and 2 Solitude people, and we're trying to work out an invasive management for 2019 for Glen Lake. We did. This meeting is going to be in 2 parts. That was part 1. But it was very clear, I'm announcing to the board now, that Glen Lake and the DEC made it clear they would like to see this. Glen Lake needs to, because we're there trying to assess the current conditions of Glen Lake in terms of invasive species, nuisance levels, fish habitats. They said there's clearly a need for comprehensive and integrated management plan for Glen Lake. Okay? And so we're going to look for grant funding and go there. And part 2 of that Glen Lake Aquatic Invasive Species Management Plan will be set shortly. Then I reviewed the Lake George, what I told the Assembly Point Water Quality Coalition septic mature and suggested some edits. And then I had a SUNY Board of Trustees meeting, or a holiday reception for our employees over at SUNY Adirondack. December 15th, Saturday, I was invited to go to the Christmas play at the Church of the King of the Story of Christmas, and that was very entertaining. I think the kids that enacted the part, Mrs. Grueling, I think, was instrumental in putting together a lot of that. That was just wonderful. December 16th, Sunday, I did the ribbon cutting of the new lifts and facilities at the West Mountain Ski Center, and then I came here and worked in the town. Most of you can tell when I'm working because you start to get those emails from me. December 17th, a Monday, I worked in the town, got ready for tonight, and went and did the site visit on 40 North Road, and here we are at the town meeting. Okay. So, I'm in, just 2 more little pages of notes, guys, and we're out of here. As you know, lucky her, she's my wife.
Or lucky you.
Well, lucky me, but I meant it kind of not so lucky her. She's my wife. Anything that happens makes the newspaper. So she was in a little bit of an accident. Of course, it makes the Post-Star, because a little accident like she was in never would have made the Post-Star, but she's my wife. In any event, everything turned out fine except the car. She's fine, my wife's fine, that's the important thing. But I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Queensbury Central Volunteer Fire Department and those volunteers who came and directed traffic and comforted my wife and helped out with the situation. And then West Glens Falls EMS was there. They did a great job. And Warren County Sheriff's Patrol officers were there. You know, and it's these kind of things in our community, when something happens, they're there to help you. And that was so comforting and so nice, and they really deserve the thanks. So I'm casting that thank you out there. I appreciated all that. So that's it. And I too want to join the town board in wishing everybody happy holidays and your health in the future.
Shall we sing a song?
What?
Shall we sing a song?
Oh, you want to sing?
No.
All right, so in closing, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I want to thank the town board, and I would thank Town Clerk Caroline Barber and Town Council Mark Shackner, and Joel Barlow, our cameraman for Look TV, and our sponsors, especially Stored Tech. And that's it for me, guys. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we adjourn? So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Swetzer, seconded by Councilwoman Atherton. I think that was the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now adjourned.
Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show